and there was what's called a harmonics pack unveiled for Rock Band this week. Essentially, all 3 songs had already been originally released in the February issue of Original Xbox Magazine. Those include Rock Rebellion by Ben Camaro, which has been in at least 2 Guitar Hero games, Shake by Count Zero, and Super Sprode by Freeze Pop, who is a bonus song in Guitar Hero 2.
Yeah.
Freeze Pop. Let's talk more rock.
Yeah, I saw some YouTube videos of these. I mean, it's just, nothing special for me, but...
I mean,
what can you say?
When you think about it, most bonus songs aren't special.
No,
they do add a lot.
And Harmonix has done a great job of releasing such quality downloadable content. You know, if every once in a while something comes along that isn't that great, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, neither am I. All right, Andrew. Now I know that I've kept you in suspense for this week in the DLC, but I figured I'd go ahead and take your reins off. Go at it.
No problem.
Get wild.
Okay. So moving into the first story of the day. Stephen King voiced some of his opinions in Entertainment Weekly a couple of days ago. He voiced his opinions on video game violence and the impact that it has on maybe impressionable young children.
I'm not impressionable.
Sure you are.
I just conform to whatever you press.
In any case, in his article, he wrote a lot of things, but one of the things he was quoted saying was, he was talking in reference to the Virginia Tech shootings, where it was pointing out that the Virginia Tech killer was a big fan of Counter-Strike. I mean, okay, as video game fans, why does that really matter? So in any case, big fan of Counter-Strike, and quote, "I just wish to God that legislators were as eager to point out that this nutball had no problem with obtaining a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. Cho used it in a rampage that resulted in the murder of 32 people. If he had been stuck with nothing but a plastic video game gun, he wouldn't even have been able to kill himself. Case closed." I mean, what more can you say? It's kind of strange that someone like Stephen King, who writes horrible, creepy, grotesque horror novels, is giving an opinion on this.
Horrible is opinionated.
No, horrible. I didn't mean in quality. I meant like grotesque and violent and stuff.
He also writes things like The Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile.
You wrote this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And he wrote The Mist.
The Mist. Yeah. In any case, you know, this is something I tend to get my high horse about. I just don't understand why the media just takes some things like this and pull it out of context. And what does it matter to this guy like Counter-Strike?
Which apparently completely came out false too.
Right. Millions of people love Counter-Strike and Half-Life and all these first-person shooters. You know, it just really irritates me that people seem to take video games and place the blame because they're just so either ignorant or in denial about what the real problem is. And he brings up a good point. I mean, yeah, he's playing Counter-Strike, so what? He was able to go out and buy a handgun.
Fine, yeah.
Fine.
You know another way to look at it too is when you look at video games that young kids are playing and they're trying to pass laws to prevent kids from buying these games. When it comes down to it, it's the parents' responsibility to make sure that their children don't play it. They don't want them to play it. But it's society's way of passing the buck, which is all too convenient, and that's exactly what these politicians are doing.
But when you take fairly educated people like ourselves, who realize that none of this stuff really matters, you know, Stephen King also brought up the point of, you know, the video game industry is in his opinion more regulated than the movie or TV industry, which I completely agree with. There is much worse stuff in R-rated movies or on primetime TVs than you see in video games.
If you think about it, references to sex in video games is just starting to come out, and they don't really show anything. In movies, you get everything. You even get full frontal.
You get full frontal. You get, you know, it really irritates me because I don't know. I guess just because we're older and we understand this now, but I mean, I guess when we were young, the worst game we had to worry about was Mortal Kombat. And even then, we were like 10 years old.
Well, I think what it comes down to is you've got a culture growing up with video games who completely understands what it is, and it's a part of our lives. And then you have a culture who did not see a video game until it started off with Pong and Pac-Man and Space Invaders and etc. And now it's seeing this happen. And that's kind of what they're dealing with. They don't know what it is or how to deal with it.
And no, they don't. And they're trying to pass all these laws and stuff. Which whatever. I mean,
they'll get blocked.
If more regulation,
through.
If more regulation is what we need, then I kind of agree. Whatever. I mean, but I still like you go into Sears or Target or wherever, and if at least the retail store I work at, that if someone goes up with a mature rated game who's 15, we check IDs, which you don't do for movies. It doesn't even come up and ask you in the register.
They only prevent you from watching a rated R movie in a theater.
And in my opinion, the ESRB goes above and beyond their Call of Duty. Well, pun intended, I guess.
That was stupid.
Their Call of Duty of what they're supposed to do. They rate things in a much more I don't know what word is I'm looking for. Complicated manner, I guess, than the movie industry. They just slap an R rating on, but MA, whatever. I'm going to start rambling, but it's just a topic that really irritates me.
You always ramble. Yeah. What do you want?
So, why don't we move on from that? So that's Stephen King. Well done, Stephen King. I appreciate that you are a level-headed person and think rationally.
We give this movie adaptation of your book a thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Wait.
Is that 3, 4?
No, you only get 1 thumb and I get 1 thumb.
I think so too.
Now it's 2. It wasn't. Whatever.
Excuse me.
Moving on. This week, or happened last week. No, it doesn't matter what week it happened. It was April Fool's Day. IGN.com put forth one of the most elaborate, intensive, awesome April Fool's jokes I've ever seen. Granted, as soon as I saw it, I knew it was fake, and no matter that I didn't know who it was by. But they did a movie trailer for The Legend of Zelda. Some parts were cheesy, like the voiced-over dialogue done by Zelda.
Right.
But then again, they were making a trailer, not an actual movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like they were cutting pieces of the movie out to make this trailer.
Yeah.
But it looked awesome.
No, it looked fantastic, and you're right. Some parts look cheesy, but I guess maybe that's what they were kind of going for. You did see a few people on the forums who did think it was real. There were some people on Dig and IGN that were like, "Oh my God, this is real."
And we laughed at those nerds.
But what a great effort by IGN. I mean, I was actually listening to one of their podcasts. I believe it was on a GameScoop podcast on IGN. They're talking about how this had been in the works for over a year. They've been filming for this. The filming for this apparently was done last October.
I don't know.
So they've been keeping it under wraps for so long, and they were so scared that the final product had apparently been done for months before this, and they kept all this under wrap. And all the editors were so scared. Fran was petrified that this was going to get out before April Fool's Day. Fortunately, it didn't.
Fran strikes me as a scared, cowering individual.
He does. Whatever. He does good work. I don't want to badmouth Fran and IGN.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, we saw him at E3.
He looks like the kind of guy that would shake.
Yeah, but we saw him for E4. We didn't talk to him. We saw him holding the camera.
He was filming. He was holding the camera for their podcast. He was their bench.
What a cool thing Ryan Jones did. It was very, very well done. It looked fairly realistic, and it kind of put that thought in your head. Like, what would a Zelda movie be like? I mean, any Zelda fan knew instantly this was fake. And I don't know if you noticed, but Link was actually right-handed in the movie trailer.
I didn't care or pay attention.
Yeah, I guess I did. But he was right-handed in Twilight Princess. So.
Yeah, anyway, it was really awesome. Check out IGN.com. They still have it up, and they actually added a behind-the-scenes feature to it. It was awesome. They even digitally recreated Queen Goma. I can highly recommend it. It's only about 2 minutes long. Nothing else you got to do for 2 minutes.
Fantastic. Looks great.
All right, moving on to the next few stories. We're kind of going to run through this a little bit faster. It turns out, as you all might know and remember, Jeff Gerstmann got fired a couple months ago from GameSpot. Rumor had it that he got fired for his 6.0 review of Kane and Lynch. His IDOS had skinned the entire GameSpot site in Kane and Lynch paraphernalia, I guess I'd call it.
Yeah.
Gerstmann railed the game, rightfully so, because it was kind of crappy. He got fired. And
sorry.
We tend to think that he got fired for his review, which is, I think, completely plausible. They say it wasn't. Turns out, the guy who fired Jeff Gerstmann, the VP of Games, Josh Larson, he got fired today.
Yeah, they're making GameSpot, as most people know. GameSpot is actually owned by CNET.
Yeah, CNET.
Who are making a lot of cuts at the moment. I think the number I read was 10% of their staff is actually being fired.
Yep.
So that's that. Hey, whatever. I mean,
see you later.
He gave an honest opinion. And again, we might not know really what happened, but as far as everyone knows, that's what he got fired for. So
see you.
If that is, then
see you later.